Hey everyone, thanks for tuning into this episode of BiblioTech on Air. I'm Rosanna.
I'm Ruby.
I'm Miranda.
And today we're going to be doing a book review over V. Castro's latest novel, Maria the Wanted, available on cloudLibrary, ebook, and audiobook format. So with that, Ruby's going to get into a quick summary about the book.
Maria is a wanted woman. She's wanted by an Aztec trafficker, a cartel boss, the people she fights for, and now the devil she can't resist. A would-be immigrant turned vampire, Maria is forced to leave her home and family and embark on a journey across Mexico. She learns to fight, becoming an unlikely badass enforcer of justice. Then, an encounter with a violent, ruthless vampire boss leads her to find her creator. Drawn into a world of ancient vampires, deadly conspiracies, and a dangerously seductive devil, Maria must find a way to fight for herself and all humankind. A fierce and seductive horror thriller, pulsing with rage, fear, and desire that explores a vampire woman's determination to find her place in the world. Yes.
Cool. So with that, just real quick, Miranda, I believe this is your first V. Castro novel you're reading, right?
Yes, my first one.
Okay, cool. So excited to hear your thoughts on that. And then I know for Ruby and myself, even though you don't remember, our third one, if y'all want to go back and check in our, back history, we've done 2 interviews of V. Castro over The Haunting of Alejandra and Immortal Pleasures, which also are both available on cloudLibrary. So be sure y'all check those out. But with that said, let's go ahead and just get right into it. So first off, let's get into just kind of general thoughts about the book. What did you have any expectations going into this, or did y'all have certain thoughts while reading the book?
I had no expectations. I did not read a summary. I did not look into anything.
You went in blind.
Completely blind. I had never read any V. Castro books. I had not watched any of the previous episodes on her, nothing. So I was just like, oh, this is the book we're reading. This is when I have to have it done. I picked it up and I read it. And so I think that's why a lot of my, I didn't have any expectations at all. So I think that's probably why some of it I was like, oh, I did not see that coming, but probably by my own fault of not looking into it at all.
I wouldn't say by your own fault. I think that makes it a bit fun.
Yeah.
I really liked it. I vividly remember The Haunting of Alejandra being one of my favorites. I really enjoyed that book. So this one was completely different from that one. That one obviously was a lot more somber and heavy themes and things like
meditative.
that. Yeah. This one was a bit more fun to read. Just reading her journey of becoming a vampire. It had all your San Antonio favorite tie-ins. It had Selena. It had Selena, and it had Selena. It had other music artists.
A lot of heavy
mentioned,
metal, classic metal.
Metallica, things like that. So it was fun to read. I did forget how smutty of a writer she could be. So when I got to those parts, I was like, oh, okay. Now I'm enjoying this book a little bit more. But yeah, I enjoyed it.
Cool. It's definitely, like you said, Ruby, a lot different from The Haunting of Alejandra. And then I know you don't really remember.
I don't really remember.
But it kind of seems similar to that, but much more, I guess I want to say lighthearted, because I feel like the MC in Immortal Pleasures, I don't remember her name, I'm so sorry. She was definitely a bit more serious, or not having as much fun.
Man,
not saying that Maria had fun, but
forgive me, I cannot remember Mortal Pleasures, but I feel like this one is gonna stick to me a lot more.
There's been a lot of episodes between them. And to be fair, for Haunting of Alejandra, that was the first one we did. By Castro. That one was a Libros book pick at some point, so that one had a lot more going on at the time. So it's fair. We start obviously by meeting Maria. She is an expecting wife working in a factory in Mexico under some horrible, terrible machista bosses. I think they call him Big Boss in the beginning. And so that's kind of her setup and her intro. We find out that the bosses willingly offer them up to these group of vampires, and she's turned into a vampire by one of the nicer ones, Adam.
And she's the only one.
She's the only one, because he claims to have seen some fight in her, but we find that out later on. So what did y'all think about this initial setup and how it, kind of drives her story throughout the book?
I think it was a good setup for her. It makes you realize like how strong she has to be as a person to keep putting herself through that, especially because a little bit after that we find out why she was even working a factory job, and it was because her husband didn't want to help her go to America, so she was like, well, then I'll work. And he found this job for her, which he had to have known how bad of a work environment that was going to be. Just saying. But I think, yeah, so it definitely set up a really good like ground for her to show like this is something that's very common and she knows that. And for the nice vampire to still have killed her, like, I was like, dang, like, she's really not catching any break.
Yeah. I like it because it kind of, usually when we hear, like, vampire creation stories, they go into, you know, automatically, like, well, not automatically, but it feels very quick until they have, like, you know, the full mansion. They have riches. They have all this expertise. They have someone to guide them. And Maria was just essentially by herself, you know?
Yeah.
She didn't know what she was. She could not locate her creator for the longest time. She's kind of stuck in this limbo of like, no one's going to accept me, but I still need to survive and find out what's going on. You know, and I thought that was really interesting because she doesn't have this, you know, this castle to go back to. She only knows Spanish. She's not rich. So it's definitely an interesting take on vampire origin stories as far as that goes. And it was kind of the same with the main character in Immortal Pleasures, but I feel like she adapted a lot, you know, a lot quicker to vampire life. Meanwhile, with Maria, she was still trying to kind of like get out of that human life for a good while. So I thought it was an interesting setup, and it really does a good job of driving the story along from that point.
Yeah, you're right. I kind of forgot about that part where she ends up, after she gets turned into a vampire, she just starts working as like a housekeeper for like many years. And she's just kind of like, well, this is my life now.
In like some shitty or some crappy hotel.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like you don't really hear that. You're right. Usually it's vampires, all of a sudden badass, all of a sudden out for revenge,
all of a sudden gay. Kidding. Shout out to Interview with the Vampire. But yeah, it was just a nice take. And then kind of leading into that, so another thing that I want to bring up is with this, with Maria and like, you know, her vampiric setup, we see that some like traditional vampire characteristics are thrown out the window. Like she can, you know, she's a day walker. She can be out in the sun, no problem. You know, feeding on human blood is obviously the best, but animal blood is still passable. Religious paraphernalia does not affect them except for demons, which we do find out later on towards the end of the book. But it's ineffective to vampires. She doesn't have to wait to be invited in, but we still see some of the traditional tropes of like, you know, superhuman strength, can gain knowledge, absorb knowledge incredibly quick, very adept at new skills.
Can't drink a Coke. A can of Coke.
Yeah.
It is interesting though that I think they offer like a pureed mango
smoothie.
A smoothie, and she's like, oh, I can actually eat that. That's kind of cool. So I thought that was interesting. But anyway, so what do you guys think about like those characteristics, and you know, do you guys think it kind of breathes some fresh air into, you know, like vampire characters?
Yeah, I think in a way it does. My experience with like vampire characters is literally only like Twilight. Like Twilight and the series I had mentioned the first time I was on the podcast, which was Vampire Academy. And for both of those situations, they can be outside, like they can do those certain things. But I feel like her, like, oh, animal blood versus human blood, a lot of it reminded me of Twilight.
Which is fair.
Because like that family, like they don't hunt humans. They're vegetarian. So they like hunt animals. So yeah, it kind of made me think of that and how they can be outside, but in Twilight they sparkle, which is why they don't. Like, it's not like they're going to die or anything. So it kind of made me think of that, but it was really interesting, like basically getting to see her find those things out. Like when she first turned, she was like sleeping in her car, even though she could have kept driving because she didn't really need to sleep. But she was just trying to hide from the sun. And when she realized, she was like, oh, like I could do anything I wanted. And then it turned into, she would mostly go out at night because she was just doing like bad things, bad in a sense.
Vigilante.
So, she was like doing stuff like that. So she was like, oh, now I can only go out at night because I don't need people to recognize me. So that was cool. Like she made the decision to be a vampire at night, and then daytime she was like, I'm gonna go clean some rooms. I was like, okay.
I know. I was thinking if I would have the same thoughts. I'm like, if I turn into a vampire, I feel like I would at least stick my arm out in the sun and be like, okay, let's see how much I can take before things get serious. But yeah, I really liked that she was already accommodating, like, okay, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah, definitely. It makes it a bit more interesting, I think. Okay, so something that we did kind of talk about while setting up beforehand is, and Miranda and I were kind of on the same page about that, was that the second half introduces, a lot more characters, a lot more settings. And so we meet some of those supporting characters or kind of have them drawn back into the story, such as, Adam, her creator, Paloma, her, newly human bestie. We meet Mordecai, who's the leader of the Keepers, which is a big vampire organization that does good, which is another thing. Most of the vampires in this book, they're like active humanitarian, they're
which is refreshing.
really good.
Yeah, this is pretty cool.
You still have your evil vampires. Like,
Yeah.
one Mexican vampire, Tizok, who was just the worst kind of guy, but so we have just an array of supporting characters. Do you think it was super important for Maria to have like these supporting characters as she was kind of going through her human vampire transition, or do you think like if she didn't have any of these characters that she would have gone off the deep end and like maybe turned into like a horrible vampire?
I kind of liked all the characters. I feel like they all had a purpose in the book, like her friend with like Paloma, and then meeting Paloma's parents and finding out that they were, or the dad at least, was an evil man as well, like Tizok.
Both vampires, but one evil.
Yeah, and then of course, like Adam and Vlad and Mordecai, meeting them, and they're like the good vampires. I thought it was pretty interesting. I liked it. I really liked the second half of the book because I just felt like, compared to the first, because I felt like the second half had a lot more reason. I felt like, okay, now we have something to fight for. There's a bigger thing going on in the world that they need to fight against. So that I enjoyed that part.
Yeah, I think all of the side characters were really important. Mine that I felt like grounded her from the earlier timing was like Jorge, and that gym I feel like saved her in a way because she got to see that she could do good still as this form and stuff that she wouldn't have been able to do before, like standing up for the mom, what was her name, the mom of Esmeralda,
Conchita.
Yes, standing up for her, like getting to do those like vigilante things.
Yeah,
I feel like really made her connect back to being human, because now she's starting to be like, these are things I can do as a vampire, I'm stronger, I can do these things, but we still need the humans around, and there's ways that she can protect them. And I feel like that is what made her want to join the Keepers as well, knowing that that's what they wanted to do, and she could look back and be like, yes, there's some bad humans, and that's who we're trying to like not let just take over, but there are people like Jorge, there's Esmeralda, like there's all these people I got to help, and we need to protect them now from the bad vampires. And I don't think if she had met all of those humans that she connected to, she would really think like, okay, like, but there was all these bad people, so why do we need to protect the humans if they don't care about each other? So I think that helped her ground herself and be like, yeah, they're all these people that I do still want to protect. So I thought that was cool.
And then this is kind of the start of her vigilante phase as well, right? When she meets Esmeralda and Conchita.
Yeah.
And then at the time, Conchita's husband was very abusive to her and Esmeralda. So Maria's
She
like,
just
okay, I
beats
need
the
to.
ever-loving crap out of him.
Yeah, so she's like, I need to get this guy.
Yeah.
That's her first murder as a vampire, right?
She doesn't kill him.
Yeah,
Oh,
she lets him walk away, but is like, you can never
crawl
be.
away.
Yeah.
Crawl basically. But like, yeah, you can't be seen here. So I feel like that was really, honestly, kind of good for her.
Yeah.
To like get that out and be like, okay, like I can do some good. And that created an even bigger community in that area, because everyone like knew about her but kept her secret, which I think is crazy. That such a big area was able to keep that hidden in a sense and only like share it with people that needed help.
Yeah. And I really liked Jorge's character as well. Like I feel like local gym owners in like all movies and things like that are always like humble and the good guys that you can trust and go for. Like it reminded me of One Battle After Another, the gym owner. Yeah. That's who I pictured. But yeah, that was a really good start.
Yeah,
I enjoyed the kind of like the two comparisons with, we see Tizok, who rules that little area of Mexico with an iron fist and just out of pure fear, violence, just not afraid to do, the worst of the worst to get his way and keep that area under his control. While Maria, she still, uses fear. Sounds like fear got the best of you, but she uses fear to kind of, help the women.
Oh yeah, of that community.
It's kind of like fear versus reverence because they really do revere her and thank her for what she's done. So I just think it's kind of interesting seeing like those paths. They almost come from like similar backgrounds, but the way they just kind of deviate, and she ends up killing Thizok anyway. So good riddance.
I would say something else. I was just thinking when you were saying that is if she also hadn't met Jorge and like gone down that path, that was why she ended up coming across that vampire, not even knowing what she was going to come across, simply because she needed to find that girl that was missing. Came across a whole trafficking ring, and that's how she came across that vampire, not even knowing it was going to be a vampire, it's just going to be a human. And that's what ended up getting her entangled. And if she hadn't met them or decided to be a vigilante for them, that half of her story wouldn't have happened. She wouldn't have met Paloma. Like, it literally just like led her right to where she needed to be, even if it was like 25 years later from when she started all of it.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get into something that's very palpable from the beginning of this book, which is the Latina Hispanic culture that V. Castro always, makes sure is felt through each of her novels. And we see that, like, we mentioned Selena's in there early on. Her origin stories, Maria's origin stories, take place in a small village in Mexico. She's, only a Spanish speaker at the time. She's very embedded, we feel how embedded the culture is. And as a vampire, we hear about like, the cowboy boots, the mercados that they go to, some of their dishes, bigger cities like Acapulco, all of that. I think it's really great to kind of get more of that out there, because so much and I'm not saying like right now, because we do have, kind of vampire stories being a bit more inclusive with people of color, but it is at the heart of it all very Anglo-centric, Eurocentric. So what do you guys think about those changes and how we're seeing more people of color vampire stories kind of come to the forefront?
I thought that was really refreshing to see and really interesting. I liked her because obviously we mentioned her arc multiple times, but to really emphasize the fact that before she turned into a vampire, when she was with Diego, when she became a vampire, she realized her relationship with Diego was not a good one. She was like, man, I don't know why I put up with everything that he did, everything that he said. And then after she turns into vampire, she's a badass. She's talking back to all the men who are kind of talking down on her. Like a line that I remember from the book was someone saying to her, like, oh, you're Tijuana princess or whatever like that. And she's like, I'm not even from Tijuana. Like, why are you just assuming, And she's just like, I don't know. She's just such a badass and talking back to all these people. That obviously was really refreshing to see.
Yeah, I think that, because like I said, my experience with vampire books, all white. So it was pretty cool just to see that. And I think what's interesting is Vampire Academy and the like Twilight stuff, they go to like Vampire Academy, private school, they're all white, like that's just what it was there. And then Twilight, like Bella's literally turned into a vampire. Now she lives in this amazing house with a wealthy family that just like, where do you get your money?
She had no struggle.
And like, and so like going from those transitions, I'm realizing like those were all like white people. And that's like, they just went straight from like, oh, I'm a vampire now. And like, I'm living lavish and I'm like learning these skills at this like fancy academy to like use my magic and whatnot. So then seeing this one start off where it is based in Mexico and they start her in a warehouse worker, like that's very different. And so I think that's pretty cool because she does grow to be just as strong headed as these other vampires in these other scenarios. But hers started from like such a low level that she had to actually work for herself and get herself there, whereas the others are kind of just like handed a home or handed the skills and the knowledge of like, you're a vampire, this is what we do, this is how you use your skills, A, B, and C, where she had to do everything on her own. And I feel like that's very powerful because that's how it is for a lot of people that start in Mexico or want to come to the United States, which is exactly what she did. She had to teach herself English. And I feel like a lot of that ties into like just regular people, like vampire or not, like that's what they have to do to make it. So I feel like it makes people feel seen, like anyone, whether they're magical or not, like you're gonna struggle, but you'll figure it out and you can. So
yeah, definitely. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into the symbolism of the book. Were there any moments of symbolism or, certain things that stood out to y'all? Like, for example, I remember in one of our interviews with V. Castro, she mentions her favorite animal is snakes, serpents. And we see a lot of that imagery in this novel, such as with Maria's analogies or like Thizok using the serpent as like the representative of, kind of his, like, people see the serpent and they're like, oh my God, it's Thizok. But then we also see other symbols like kind of solidarity with like the women that Maria protected. Like they have that scar on their hand from like blood offerings. To like her armor, which is like the black hat, the cowboy boots. You know, were there any things like that kind of stood out to you, or like, you know, kind of made you be like, huh, interesting? Like when you started putting dots together and what they really meant.
I think in general, her outfit is what stood out to me the most. Not because I was like, it was some grand, like, oh, it means this, or I didn't really read into it too much. But I think just her outfit and knowing that she wore that hat, even though she got another one later on after like the whole house explosion, which I was like, girl, what? I was like, what's just happened? But yeah, so like I think her outfit like symbolized being like a man in a sense. Like she took that hat from Diego. She always saw him wear it. She was never allowed to. She had to be feminine. And so like to cut ties with almost being a human, she was like, I'm just going to put myself in what makes me feel strong. And in Mexico, being a man is just considered strong no matter what. So I feel like that was a pretty cool thing. And that's what she kept forever. Like that's just what she always dressed as. So I think that's pretty cool, especially because that idea came from back then. And now we're seeing like, oh, like maybe like women can do like masculine things and still like have a feminine side. And she still carried that persona though, because that was always going to be her mindset on masculinity and femininity.
That's so interesting how you put it like that, because we really do see Maria kind of reclaim her own femininity, but under her terms. It's not like you have to wear a dress. You have to be like, you know, in the kitchen, you know, you have to be, you know, submissive to the man. Like we really do see her like kind of starting to pick her own outfits, regardless of whether they're more masculine or, you know, feminine presenting. Because she's, you know, we do see that she's a very feminine woman, but we see that she reclaims that in her own way. You know, like she still likes her dresses, she still likes, you know, kind of her shape, you know, her shapely clothes, but again, it's not something that a man told her to wear. So it is kind of nice seeing that, and her just kind of being a bit more outspoken and all of that. It's like you do one thing and the rest kind of follow.
I liked all the conspiracies that she had in the book as well, where she was like, all the political leaders of the world are being influenced by either the good vampires or the bad vampires, and you can guess which ones do what. So it just I really enjoyed those aspects because it felt really real in our time and what was going on.
There was kind of going on that she did not like try to hide anything. The only thing that changed were names and slogans. Like we all know who she was talking about, and honestly, Slay Queen.
She's like, that man is definitely controlled by a demon. A demon.
Well, even the demons though, it's kind of funny because like the demons and vampires were like, he's not even the Antichrist or anything. He's just a terrible person. Taking advantage of.
And he's just dumb enough for us to just like kind of control and not care. So
exactly.
Here we are.
I think one of my favorite things of symbolism was the cross that Maria always wears, which is which was given to her by her grandma, and it kind of seems to like allude that it came from like, you know, the pyramids of Mexico, like made from those stones. And as a vampire, like, you know, the religious paraphernalia never hurts her. Like we see that she's wearing that cross all the time until she gets possessed by the demon. Once she gets possessed by the demon, that's when it starts to burn her. So I thought that was really interesting. It's like, okay, so it can still affect certain supernatural creatures, just not vampires. And we kind of find out because vampires kind of are divine themselves. Like they were literally created by God in the book in a way. So I thought that was an interesting kind of flip the script as well. You know, that, you know, instead of being something that was created from the deepest pits of hell or just like, you know, pure rage or hatred, like it was just a divine moment of, here you go, you'll be the first vampire. Listen to me. So but with that said, let's go ahead and talk about like our overall thoughts, you know, final takes on the book. What did y'all like overall? What would y'all rate the book, and any criticisms, thoughts that y'all had about it?
I feel like I would rate it an 8 out of 10. I really liked it. I enjoyed the spicy scenes with Lucifer. I mean, it was really, I mean, because Lucifer's offering her everything that she ever wanted.
He offered her something.
He offered her everything she ever wanted. Like she was so distraught throughout the entire novel that her mustard seed baby was had. I don't know.
Well, because she was pregnant, and then when she became the vampire,
she lost the baby.
She lost her baby that she was always referring to as her mustard seed. And so when she met Lucifer, they were in love. He offered to give her that so she can grow a baby, and in the end, she had to kill him because she was like, no, obviously you're Lucifer. She got too entangled. I really liked that trope. Very spicy. 5 out of 5 spices. If you're not...
5 out of 5 chile de árbol.
So I really like that. So overall, that's why I would rate it 8 out of 10.
My scale is on a 5. I would say it's like 3.5. It's not something I would normally read. And I think especially because I went in completely not knowing what was going to happen. Those scenes with like Lucifer, I was like, how did we get here? What is happening? Like, why him? So that kind of like, I was like, oh, like this escalated quickly. So that was like definitely caught me off guard. Not in a bad way, just like definitely off guard. And then I think the end, like I really wanted to learn more about like, you just said that the world was ending. And now, like, we're in Nebraska. Was it, like, Nebraska?
Yeah, it was Nebraska.
And now we're in Nebraska on a field and, like, the book ended. I was like, but now, like, what happened? Like, so I think I just wanted a little bit more, like, growth on that.
Is everyone okay?
Yeah, I'm like, what happened? Like, did Jorge get his home? Like where are the other kids? Like, I just wanted a little bit more closure on that. But it was still very enjoyable. It's a very, like, easy, breezy, like, read. Like, it's not, like, painful to get through or anything. But I enjoyed it.
I think on the same lines as you, Miranda, probably like a 3.5 out of 5. I was going to say out of 8. I was mixing y'all scores.
Well, 3.5 out of 5, that would be like a... I think that would be
7.
an 8 out of 10. 7.5 out of 10, probably.
Yeah, like a 7.
Like, it was enjoyable. I really liked the first half, Maria's setup. You know, her kind of like trying to find out who she is, doing things for the community, because we really get backstory on her, those characters. When we get to the second half where she finds Adam again, she goes to Europe. I feel like the pacing was just a little too fast for my taste,
that's
and
true.
we didn't get enough background on some of the other characters.
They flew a lot. They had a lot of mileage.
I know.
There was cash in those frequent flyer miles.
There was one point where they went to Europe just to talk to Vlad, and they're like, "You got to go back to Mexico." And then so I was like,
and
"Bro,
get his bones.
they could have just FaceTimed him. Like they had
an email.
Literally, it could have. Like I was like, "Oh my god, why are they just back and forth to Europe so frequently right now?" But yeah,
like is the TSA nothing? But also they were riding on a private jet, so it's like
they were.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I just like I think it could have been maybe a duology, like you know, kind of Maria's starts origin story, and then have that tie into like the keepers and you know their whole deal and stuff. And then also just like Lucifer, I'm like I get that he was kind of like the driving force of like Maria, also kind of like reclaiming her own sexuality and stuff.
Yeah.
I think, and again, it's not like you know against the smutty scenes. I'm just like, was it really necessary to you know? I can see how it is, and I can see how it isn't.
I mean, she's Maria the Wanted. Or Lucifer wanted her.
Think about that in two different ways. Maria the Wanted, as in you know, she's
Get her.
a fugitive. Not a fugitive of the law.
Yeah,
but like, you know,
basically,
she's got a bounty on her probably, and then also the Wanted in like.
She can still be wanted.
You know where I thought it was going to go? I thought it was going to go to where, because they mentioned in the book where Lucifer is so in love with Maria after their sexual encounters. Lucifer wants Maria so bad. And then they talk about it. They're like, maybe he's going to turn himself to a human. But once he does that, he's not going to be able to go back to his cosmic self, anything like that. So I was like, I thought that's where that was going to go. But it doesn't. But I still enjoyed that. Not backtracking, but...
Yeah, he was just obsessed, and I think it was just another power conquest for him at the end of the day, since a human never made him feel like that. But you know, he died. Spoiler alert.
His heart gets taken out of his chest.
Out.
Exactly. Him and Mordecai do like heart rips.
Mortal Kombat. Finish
exactly.
him.
Thank you. They do fatalities. But with that. You know, I guess that'll end the discussion for us. So by all means, if y'all want to go ahead and check out this book, as well as V. Castro's other novels, by all means, cloudLibrary, ebook, audiobook formats, and check out our previous episodes on The Haunting of Alejandra and Immortal Pleasures. But of course, before we go, we just want to cover, ask our favorite question. What is everyone currently reading? Starting with Miranda.
I am currently reading The Sundown Motel by Simone St. James.
Interesting.
Yeah,
that sounds
it's pretty good so far. I'm not too far into it, so we'll see where it goes.
I just like that title, The Sundown. That's cool.
That's very cool. I just started reading The Devils by Joe Abercrombie since we just read Between the Fires pretty recently, and I heard this one was really similar to that. So yeah, literally just checked it out this morning.
Oh, nice. 2 pages in.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm currently reading, funny enough, another vampire book, Dowry of Blood by St. Gibson, I think. And it's kind of the perspective of the wives of Dracula. And they kind of have like their own little polycule going and kind of figure out like, you know, kind of like how that and their relationship with Dracula.
Sister wives of Dracula?
Almost.
Nice.
Except without the sister part.
Oh.
But all right, so that's going to end it for us. Thank you guys for tuning in to this episode of BiblioTech on Air. I'm Rosanna.
I'm Ruby.
I'm Miranda.
And we'll catch you guys on the next episode. Bye.